Hey, I'm Naman. I'm the founder of Refrens.com.
एक मिनट रुक जाओ, रेडी होने दो. चलो ये कर लेते हैं. This could be a great intro.
Entrepreneurship is more about the journey than the goal, and it's essentially a journey of learning about who you are. This episode is a fascinating peek into that journey of self-discovery of Naman Sarawagi, the founder of Refrens. That's Refrens. Naman started his journey more than a decade and a half back, working with Kunal Shah to launch his first startup, FreeCharge, and he shared some amazing stories about how they built virality for FreeCharge. He then went on to work at multiple startups, both as an employee and as a founder, with each stint adding to his journey of self-discovery. In 2018, he finally landed on the idea that led to building up Refrens, which is a SaaS product built for small and mid-sized service businesses, helping them to get leads, send invoices, receive payments, and manage their business from a single dashboard. Here's Naman telling Akshay Dutt about his amazing decade and a half long journey.
फिर ग्रेजुएशन हो गया. अभी I took up the job interview for Wipro just to make sure that I don't get outcast by all my classmates. Right? ये तो अपने आप को बहुत बड़ा समझ रहा है. But I knew that this is not the place to go. Right? I mean, 3 लाख की नौकरी कौन करेगा? Then I started went back to Surat from college. Okay, and started spending some time with dad's business. Started looking at Rediff and other places जहाँ पे e-commerce हो सकता था. Right? I thought we'll put this whole sari business to online. And then I decided कि यार नहीं हो रहा है, this is not working out. Okay, let's start looking for opportunity. अब opportunity कैसे मिलेगी? तो blogging करते हैं, कोई ना कोई आकर के comment करेगा और कुछ हो जाएगा. So I wrote. So at that time, again I contacted Ashish saying, will you pay me to blog now this time? He said yes. And my first article was basically, I was struggling with a mobile recharge. तो उस समय MobiKwik होता था और recharge it now होता था. And I wrote a long 10-point article, these are the things wrong with MobiKwik and Recharge It Now, and this is the opportunity. Then, as expected, somebody commented. This guy was Kunal Shah saying, can we talk? So I went to meet him in Bombay. Okay. At that time, the term free charge was not coined. He had an idea saying most people who walk into the mobile store बोल करके एक SR group का chain होता था उस समय. This was a retail chain. And he has this insight saying 99% of people who come to the mobile store actually come for recharge. Now, if we can divert them to other places, this would increase the retail footfall of all other places. Okay, so it was his idea. Recharge brings in a lot of footfall. We have to redirect it to some other place. Redirect कैसे होगा? Coupons दे करके. So essentially what we thought is all these Groupon clones were bad business model because again, those were push, right? You had to push emails to them, and if there is a pull mechanism, which is a recharge mechanism, people come to a site, we give them coupons, and that translates into retail footfall. That was the basic idea. And the first condition that I think I told him was, here, you have to have very good partnerships for this. Because at Onyomo, we had tried this. Write a review and we'll give you retail coupons and then, drive retail footfalls. And so he said, I've already tied up with McDonald's.
What was, who was Kunal Shah at that time?
Kunal Shah was the CEO of a BPO owned by the Tandon Group. Okay, so if you've heard of Sandeep Tandon lately as the co-founder of FreeCharge, okay, now Tandon Group is a very large business family, very influential, and they own the first unit of the first SEZ in India. Okay, so you can imagine that way. And Kunal had grown up the ranks. I mean, joined at the lowest position at that organization and grown up the ranks to become the CEO of that firm.
Well, he joined as a telecaller or something like that.
He joined as a web designer, I'm told. Okay, so they had like IT division and a BPO, etc. And one fine day, when the company was struggling, he was sent to US to do some business development. He did very well at that, and slowly he became this MD, right? So we started working on FreeCharge. Okay, and उस समय बहुत detail में जाते. So what I was doing at FreeCharge was, in the last 2 years, I had read every article about every startup that had been published on the internet. GigaOM, TechCrunch, I used to read about 30, 40 articles, anything and everything. Whatever I had read, I had applied everything to FreeCharge. Or without thinking कि यार मैं fail हो रहा हूँ कि pass हो रहा हूँ. So, I would have contacted, say 100 journalists. 20 ने reply कर दिया, newspaper में coverage आ गया, TV में coverage आ गया. So, no baggage at that time. 21-year-old trying to do random stuff, right? And at that time, I did not realize what I had done or what I had achieved. Okay, and
But what was your role? What did you get hired for? Like,
I got actually hired as a consultant to help Kunal understand the recharge business and how teenagers behave with their mobile recharge. Because 96% of the mobile telecom was recharge, but anybody in a large company only had a postpaid phone, right? Where the company would pay the phone, so they'd never seen what recharge means. I was hired as a consultant to ease out my pay. They took me as on payrolls. Okay, but I ended up directly managing technology, product, marketing, and PR. And single-handedly, I didn't have anyone. So technology में हमने outsource किया था, design मैंने किया था first version. Anything apart from the web design, me and Kunal used to discuss in very detail. And that again, on the hindsight, I can say most founders in India, at least, do not spend so much time on their product. So on the design of the coupon itself, we would have spent at least 70, 80 hours of discussion. From the thickness of the paper in which the coupon would be printed, to the width of the coupon, to what does the coupon say, the terms and conditions of the coupon. Why is it a paper coupon and not a digital coupon?
exactly. That's what I wanted to ask you. Why paper?
Because McDonald's did not have a way to redeem digital coupons. Paper coupon can be kept in the cash register as like a solid thing, right? Second, that was a constraint, right? But that actually added as a benefit, because paper coupons can actually be displayed, right? I mean, when I am redeeming my paper coupon on McDonald's, people around me will get curious.
And they'll see free charge.
Right. So if you look at any religion or any brand, when you say, there is a physical marker, right? That coupon was our physical marker. एक online recharge website का कोई physical marker नहीं होता है, so you never reach that to that brand, right? So that was our physical marker. People started saying, यार कोई भी coupon print कर सकता है, which was actually true. You could print your own coupon and take it to McDonald's, they'll still accept it. But we then put a hologram on top of it, a 3D hologram, and then everything starts looking authentic. And I'm not sure if you know this, but election commission भी यही करता है. वो एक hologram डाल देते हैं आपके ID card पे, तो आप सबको लगता है यार ये तो एकदम original है, right? So, and we did a lot of those stuff. We actually
free charge तो online product था ना, तो वो hard copy coupons distribute कैसे किया आपने?
We couriered, and that again, there also we thought, so our aim was the redemption rate of the coupon. We thought, so Domino's at that time used to give coupons in newspapers, right? And वो randomly किसी भी coupon site पे मिल जाता था, and hence the brand value of Domino's would get diluted. So at that time, for a teenager, and people, early salary guys, right? So Pizza Hut was still a aspirational brand, and Domino's was not, because Domino's used to give coupons. And that coupon giving thing actually dilutes a brand. So we thought, if the coupon is getting redeemed, then it is not diluting, right? Limited coupons hai and wo redeem ho rahe hain. So our core matrix at FreeCharge was the redemption rate of coupons. And so we thought coupons would be couriered. Courier ka cost was 17 rupees tha. We started charging 10 rupees for courier. So other recharge websites at that time used to charge 1 rupee or 1% as convenience fee, because there is not enough arbitrage to be made between the payment gateway fees and what your recharge company, telecom companies give you, right? So that was their only revenue. For us, the courier fee did not cover up the courier cost, but that was an investment that the guy using the site would make. And because he's made a 10 rupees investment on that coupons, he will not throw it away. And we designed the coupons in a way so that you can keep it in your wallet and it would stick out a little, acting as a reminder कि यार मेरे पास 50 रुपए का coupon है. One more thing, we did not say this is a coupon for a free burger. We said this is 50 rupees worth, and then the fine print said it's free burger. So you can't throw away a 50 rupees thing, right? Almost like a Sodexo coupon.
Well, it's like cash equivalent, basically.
Cash equivalent. So that is what we ended up doing, and we, I think, measured about 100 wallets to come up with the size of that coupons and credit cards, etc. And we had like a definition to it. It has to be a little thinner than credit card, but not as thin as a currency note, and it should stick out of the wallet, etc. Right? And I think that was the secret behind that redemption rate. And so FreeCharge launch was a great experience. Okay, because I remember going to IIT Bombay. I had a cousin in IIT Bombay studying back then. And I went there to explain people that recharge aise hota hai. And then I realized that people in IIT Bombay, whatever debit cards they have, that debit card does not have a CVV code, because it's not meant for online stuff. So I used to give them my credit card, and they used to do it on my laptop, and I used to hand them the coupon then and there. This was, I think, day 7 or day 8 of launch. Within the next 7 days, we had orders from every IIT and every IIM in India. So IIT Bombay से वो viral effect तुरंत था, right? And we are talking about, Facebook was just getting popular. We are talking about 2010, right? So not every student was on Facebook, but these IIT guys were, because उनके seniors Stanford में थे, and then that is the first viral thing that I experienced. Okay, and we went to various media houses. I think by month 3 we were covered in news, in magazines, newspaper, magazines, TV, Rediff.com homepage. So we achieved whatever coverage you would want to achieve. Every blog in India had covered us, right?
Which is basically you sending them cold emails to get them interested.
I sending them cold emails. उस समय I think I used to read Nikhil Pava of Media Nama. I'm not sure if you know him. So he used to generally rant saying, यार लोगों को email लिखना नहीं आता है. When they reach out to journalists, they don't know how to write emails, and this is how you should write. Very bulleted points and very to the point thing, and ask what you want. Don't hit around the bush. I did that, and I got covered by a lot of people, right? And my total expense 5,000 rupees tha. I did a wire release also, but that wire release failed. I mean, we did not get coverage from the wire release. So, and then wrote to ET Now pe Sudhir Shyal used to run a show called Starting Up, and I wrote to him. He replied, very shockingly, and then we recorded the next week, and we were on live television, on TV. I think first week of October. August we launched, on TV we are on first week of October, and 30th October I quit FreeCharge. So when FreeCharge was happening, so on the product side everything is nice, okay, but FreeCharge at that time, so India में startup culture नहीं था, okay. मैंने जो भी ये TechCrunch वेक्रंच पढ़ रखा था ना, I had this notion कि startup culture ऐसा होता है, and I was almost working in a silo in FreeCharge, right? So digital marketing के लिए I wasn't discussing with anyone, PR के लिए I wasn't discussing with anyone, technology again I wasn't discussing with anyone. Okay, I had the sales side of thing was taken care by Kunal, and there was one more guy who's very senior at Spice Telecom now, right? And logistics call center partially managed.
By sales you mean partnerships?
Partnerships with all these retail companies, right? But when I'm saying, today it actually sounds like exaggeration. I was directly responsible for technology, the digital product, marketing, and PR. Okay. In October, I think I hired somebody for digital marketing. SEO में एक junior guy रखा था, and we'd outsourced the initial development of the website. In August, just before the launch, we hired one developer. Right. So 0 to 1 lakh users in one developer. Okay. And hire करने के बाद मुझे realize हुआ बंदे ने सिर्फ Windows पे काम किया, Linux पे काम ही नहीं किया. I didn't know how to hire, honestly, right? So, but so that gap was there. But parallelly there was this company called Indie Polls that was being built. Okay, so I read about it, and they were working on that missed call idea, जो मैंने college days में try किया था. And I got fascinated by the qualification of those people. Okay, honestly, one of the founders was a Stanford graduate, other was IIT IIM graduate. Sanjay Swami of Prime Ventures was leading it, right? So through various means, I contacted them, and Ashish Sinha of Plug.in, where I was blogging all this while, had worked for Sanjay Swami. So there was some connection. I think 30th October, this is exactly 1 year after I joined FreeCharge. I went to an event in Bangalore. So FreeCharge was in Bombay, right? And I went to an event in Bangalore, met the ZipDial team. Indie Polls became ZipDial later. And, then again at ZipDial, I became their first hire. Okay. First guy in product and marketing.
And ZipDial was eventually acquired by Twitter.
ZipDial was eventually acquired by Twitter, and Gupshup was a Twitter clone. So if you look, the whole pura round circle ho gaya, right? But when ZipDial, so after I entered ZipDial.
If you like to hear stories of founders, then we have tons of great stories from entrepreneurs who have built billion-dollar businesses. Just search for the Founder Thesis podcast on any audio streaming app like Spotify, Gaana, Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to the show.
ZipDial was B2B trying to do B2C, trying to do SME. Okay. Today, I can be very honest and say that we couldn't find it. We couldn't find our path. Okay. For a temporary moment, our significant revenue was coming from B2B, and it felt like we had become a communication channel for media companies. We ran very, very large campaigns, but once this whole 3G, 4G things were coming in, we did not have a game there.
So like these वो Indian Idol में वो होता था, I remember. So those were powered by ZipDial.
Absolutely. Missed call, right? If you've seen Dance India Dance mein hota tha. Right. So Rahul Gandhi actually used ZipDial for his UP campaign, I think 2012 election ke liye. So 2011 December mein was rallying somewhere, and the call to action was, if you want to listen to Rahul Gandhi, give a missed call. And this was advertised on radios across rural UP, and people used to call up our ZipDial numbers. And so I've actually been on a call where Rahul Gandhi was there, and been on a mail trail where Rahul Gandhi was there.
So that missed call के बाद then the call would go back to that person where it would play a recording of Rahul Gandhi. Okay.
Yes. Or it could be SMS being triggered or something, right? So we've done some very nice campaigns, but we couldn't really find that big thing, right? कि कुछ कैसे, how does this actually become like a very large company, right? We couldn't pivot to becoming an app company. We were already in 2014-15. I had left in 2012, but already in 2014-15. But revenue was good. From whatever I heard back, revenue was good. Okay. And there is one small incident that happened in ZipDial, and again, this will go up to, connecting the dots in the past. So we had this number where if you could give missed call, you would get live cricket score. Okay. And this is because two of our founders were big cricket fans. They just created it for fun. And then this became a thing. One fine day, we got 1 lakh calls on that number. So the day before, we got like 100 calls. The next day, we got 1 lakh calls. We tried to figure out kya hua, and then we realized on SMS Gupshup, somebody had shared our number, saying this is some magical number. You give a missed call on this number, and you will get a call back. You will get an SMS with the latest cricket score. Right? We are in 2011. Okay, so mobile internet, etc., is still not a big thing in most parts of the world. Right? So this was like a big thing. There we thought, kuch to game hai yahan, sorry. So we could build up for other things as well, but we started selling this story to media companies. We got very, very popular. But I wouldn't say we would have created like a very large company. I think that the whole thing was surviving because we had very, very hardworking people, right? I mean, and with all the connections possible, right? But I was getting bored because I came from this internet product, mindset, right? मेरे को वो telecom product में I didn't know what to do, right? I mean, there is no copywriting to do. There is no other stuff to do. And so I was also managing PR for some time, right? Doing technology sales, doing sales for internet companies. So we had this product called ZipDial to verify. Like you verify your mobile number through OTPs today. We had this, give a missed call on this number and we'll verify. I was responsible for selling that to internet companies, obviously with the founders, but and that was my first sales experience. And I had sold to every company. So I had spoken to the technology and product team of Flipkart, Snapdeal, Home Shop 18, Myntra, ClearTrip, Make My Trip, you name it. I had been to every office, and the difference of a good technology company and bad technology companies that started reflecting. So, Snapdeal. I remember Snapdeal engineer actually, pinged me one day, कि sir, मेरे को नहीं आ रहा ये code लिखना to integrate ZipDial. Can you please get this done? I don't know how to do this, right? I actually got our engineer to write that piece of integration. Whereas Flipkart guys, they had 100 questions to ask, right? They integrated, both of them integrated eventually. But वो good technology team और bad technology team का difference मैंने उस दिन समझा. I thought, ठीक है यार, मतलब engineer है, कर ही लेगा, क्या problem क्या है? So until then, I did not know that. Okay. Anyway, so 2012, I was still blogging. Okay. Some good things happened. I wrote an article about Flipkart. Sachin Bansal, Benny Bansal called me to meet up. Benny also offered me to join Flipkart, but पता नहीं मेरे को उस दिन क्या हो रखा था, ego था या क्या था, I did not. Okay. Also, just before I was leaving to meet Benny, my founder, ZipDial's founder, he said, "You are not going to come back. They are going to offer you a job." And I'm like, "How come I'm not going to come back?" I'm like, I'm not doing a job in ZipDial. I mean, this was my idea somewhere, you own it, but whatever, job का तो कोई chance ही नहीं है, right? और वो अभी भी वो मारवाड़ी ego चल रहा है background में, right? Because I've not seen कि ये job क्या होता है, right? Until this hour, I have not created my resume, okay? वो Wipro के interview के लिए किया था, but तो थोड़ा सा वो, I don't know, I was high on whatever I had achieved. I would say that way, okay? Benny Bansal did offer me a job, okay? But I said no, like very blunt no. And I had met other founders also, spoken to a few other founders also, all through my blogging, right? So I still knew that connection. Yeah, you write content on the internet, write insightful content, people will connect you. And this content was not read by a lot of people. So a good article on Next Big What at that time would be read by probably 1,000 people. Like 1,000 was like a big number back then. Okay. And when I'm saying all people, I had spoken to people who run very large porn industries. I'm not sure if you've heard of savitabhabi.com. That was a very popular porn boom, right? So I'd spoken to the founder also there, right? We were trying to do some ad placement in one of the comics where Savita Bhabi would introduce a product of the internet, right? So some crazy stuff there. Thankfully, we did not do that, right? The creatives were all done and then we pulled back. Right? This was for a freelance work that I was doing during college days. Okay, that is where this whole thing happened. But the whole point was that I got to meet and talk to a lot of people, okay, because of whatever I was blogging and the content I was putting out. And then I started working on this idea about price comparison on the internet. So I knew that e-commerce was rising. Price comparison was a very easy industry to get into. Two developers inside a room could do this and earn affiliate revenue. During my internship days at Onyemo, I learned about a company called Easygo, ixigo.com. Alok Bajpai, I think he's been on the show. Easygo ka SMS search was being written in our office in Onyemo. I mean, we were trying to integrate that, do a flight search, etc. And Easygo earned through, affiliate revenue. So I always had this thing, side mein ek project start karte hain. And during Zipdial days itself, started something called mypriceindia.com. Right? We'll crawl few sites. So I'd written crawlers during my internship days. We'll crawl few sites, bring up prices of a single phone on one page, and then earn affiliate revenue. So यहाँ से story खराब होना start हो जाती है. What happened is I went to Binny again, okay, saying I'm working on this startup. Would you help out or whatever? Not for funding. I just wanted to discuss. He said, don't do it. बहुत छोटा industry है. 200-250 crore का industry है. ज़्यादा बड़ा नहीं है. Now this is 2011. Okay. Flipkart hasn't raised even $20 million. Okay. And I did not understand quantum of money. 250 crores and 2,500 crores were same in my mind. And I literally thought, 250 crores is not small, right? And how do you even calculate the size of an industry, right? I mean, something that is growing, how do you put a number to it, right? And he said, don't do it. But sometime around the last of that meeting, he ended up saying, Flipkart mein aake kar lo, right? And I, again, I misunderstood things, and I thought, on one end he's saying don't do it, and other end he's saying do it inside Flipkart, right? But again, he would always give me a meeting whenever I pinged him. So I remember 9 a.m. in Flipkart office multiple times. We would have breakfast together. And again, वहाँ culture समझ में आया कि Flipkart इतना बड़ा क्यों. And that article that I had written about Flipkart wasn't like an accident or something. Since 2007, I had gone to Flipkart's homepage every day, just to study कि Flipkart में क्या change हो रहा है. Every page, the collections page, product page, home page, almost every day from 2011 to 2007, 2011. In 2011, one fine day, I wrote this article, and that is where the team called me up. So again, all these were happening through curiosity for the internet, etc. Then I wrote another article on somewhere, anonymously I wrote an article to get a backlink. क्योंकि SEO करना है तो backlink चाहिए. And then somebody from SAF Partners called me up, and I'm like, wow, right? And then a 23-year-old walks into a nice 5-star hotel to have coffee with this, guy, who's from the VC industry, and he pays the bill, obviously, right? And this guy was Mukul Arora. He's now the partner at SAF. Very nice guy. He tried to explain, Naman galat kar rahe ho. Chota industry hai, kuch nahi hoga, right? But see, until then, until I met. So Binny was trying to tell me, don't do this. And I was not there for funding with Binny, right? Mukul से meeting के पहले मैंने सोचा भी नहीं था इसको funding मिलेगी. It was still a weekend project for me, right? But Mukul के meeting के बाद, I almost took it like a personal challenge कि अब तो इसको hit करना है, right? Then again, I wrote another article for a backlink. Then Vijay Shekhar Sharma contacted me.
Achha, oh man, you must be a phenomenal writer.
नहीं ठीक है, मतलब I don't know. मतलब I would say कि वो अंधों में काना राजा वाला बात है. आज भी इंडियन इंटरनेट पे बहुत सारे प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर्स और स्टार्टअप फाउंडर्स लिखते नहीं हैं, right? They have a lot of stories to say. They don't write. They've discovered. I mean, they do human behavior changing stuff, right? They don't write, right? आज Cred is such a popular product. All we know about Cred is through speculations, right? ये campaign ऐसा है because ऐसा हुआ होगा. The Cred team is not coming out and saying, see, this is the theory behind this, or this is the thesis behind this. True for a lot of products. right? So Vijay and I had met 1 year earlier at a, again plug.in ka ek conference hota tha, where Unplug, Vijay was a thing. Vijay was a speaker and he'd come, and this is 2011. I said, and 197 was big. No, and 197 was competing with ZipDial because they also had this cloud telephony product, and Paytm had just launched, which was competing with FreeCharge. Okay, and I said to Vijay, that आप इतने बड़े हो, आप ये क्या छोटा रिचार्ज के बिजनेस में घुस रहे हो? And at that time he said, this is just a foot in the door. I want to create a bank. 2011. Okay, so and I was like, यार कुछ भी बोल रहा है ये बंदा. It said some big things, and I was like, यार नहीं. Okay, 2011 he pinged me, and I'd written those articles anonymously. Again, articles were not to get funding or anything. Okay, funding nahi tha mere dimag. It was a weekend project, simple, right? And all these articles were anonymous. I told him, you already know me, and then we spoke, and he's like, if you're in Delhi next week or sometime, we should catch up. I was coincidentally in Delhi next week, and met Vijay. We met for 9 hours straight. He'd just come back from China, and he's a big, Jack Ma fan. And he was telling me all these stories from China, and that this will happen and that will happen and stuff like that. The meeting started at 11, ended at 8 o'clock. Okay. And very nice, humble guy. He showed me around the office, introduced me to a lot of people. Couple of people he was introducing me to already knew my name. Okay. And that is where it hit me that, कुछ तो मैंने किया है लाइफ में. Okay. But अभी भी मैं थोड़ा हाई हूँ. Okay, for whatever I had achieved it. During FreeCharge, I did not realize what I'm doing. Something significant is what I'm doing. After FreeCharge, I think thoda पता चला कि कुछ तो किया है. And also because I was not getting to do a lot of stuff in ZipDial. See, difference क्या होता है when you're an early employee? If you work with a solo founder, which was Kunal, you get a lot of freedom, right? And you become the bouncing board by default. So whatever the founder is thinking, you absorb that, right? Good, bad, become the devil's advocate or whatever. In ZipDial, the discussion would happen between 3 founders, right? So I wasn't part of the thought process. I would not know the end outcome, but I wasn't part of the thought process, right? So generally getting bored, And also this whole cloud telephony versus internet, stuff. So that was also a disconnect. Anyway, so Vijay, at the end of the meeting, he promised to fund me. Nice, and 1 month later, I got married. And 2 days before the wedding, I get a call from Vijay's office saying, some Ravi Adusamalli is in India. He's the partner at SAF. He wants to meet you because more like a hygiene check, right? I mean, just to. And so 1 day before the wedding, I fly back to Bangalore. I meet him, come back. I'm like, funding to ho hi jayega. And I get married. And 1 month later, I don't hear back from anyone, right? So, and there was no communication at all from anyone from Vijay's office. I'd forgotten about them, and whatever. I had this, I don't know, anger tha ya kya tha, disappointment tha, whatever. I never understood what went wrong. 1 month later, I'd written an article about way to SMS. Okay, and that was my last article, January 2012 mein likha tha. The founder contacted me. The founder was also my client at ZipDial. He said, I know you are doing something. Let me know if you need any help. And I said, funding chahiye. Right? See, this is where it all went wrong. I knew that this was a weekend project, but because somebody had contacted me, it felt like I could raise funds, and now I want to raise funds. Okay. So this whole movement was, on the hindsight, it was wrong. Okay. And this gentleman, way to SMS founder, he funded me. We started building this up. I had a co-founder then. Okay. Because I had this lack of confidence, I would say, कि यार, I'm not a good enough engineer. और honestly, internship के बाद कभी production level code लिखा नहीं था. And I thought, I need a engineer, and I need a designer, and these should be co-founders because, you share wealth equally and whatever. And I made them equal partners. One of my colleagues at ZipDial, he knew that I was starting up on the side. Okay. And he said, you picked up the wrong partners. Okay. And I'm like, it doesn't matter, picked up the wrong partners, मतलब या तो वो 2% का partner होता है या equal partner है. ठीक है, wealth doesn't matter to me. What I did not realize again is, the responsibility, right? Whatever money has been put, it was all me, putting in the money. छोटा सा कुछ server भी लेना है, कुछ भी करना है, all those stuff. And what started as a weekend project now had some money in the bank, and we started up. 2012 September, quit my job at ZipDial, started working on this product, and all those again. Now I am a startup founder, right? So And I started doing all the mistakes that I hadn't learned about, right? Hiring कैसे करते हैं, क्योंकि मैंने अभी तक कोई hiring नहीं किया life में, right? या even co-founder कैसे select करते हैं, right? Or and then everything started.
What kind of mistakes were there? Like co-founder selection में क्या mistake थी?
Co-founder selection में not very sound guy with respect to the work that he was hired for, that I was looking for. Okay, as in I thought he would do engineering, but he started outsourcing engineering. Okay, where I was paying, this was still happening, but that realization never hit. I was still lacking confidence. I was like, I'm new in Bangalore, मेरे को अगर office भी ढूंढना होगा तो कैसे करूंगा? But everything that I had got a co-founder for all the fears, I realized at the end of the day, I was the guy doing it. Hiring में post कैसे डालना है, and how to find an office for that startup, everything I ended up doing.
So you got co-founders for the wrong reason. मतलब it was mostly just a fear of unknown, because of which you thought there is safety in numbers, and hence you got
fear of unknown, yes. Partially, I think me and the co-founder, we came up with the idea together. I mean, I had this idea about affiliate revenue and price comparison from ECGO days, but we were discussing multiple ideas, and then we came up with this idea. I think the startup wasn't doing good, so between September and March, we'd lost about 70% of the funding that we'd got, giving salaries to people, etc. A couple of good hires there, okay, not good hires because of my skill or something. I mean, just hardworking people who happened to join me. I think we were in April, he quit, my co-founder. He couldn't handle the pressure, or I don't know. I mean, it wasn't going very well, so he quit. And there was one other guy we'd got from Yahoo. Okay, so this guy from ZipDial who told that I've got the wrong partners, he introduced me to this guy from Yahoo. Again, he was a college. See, again, all these stories that I've experienced, I was very influenced by people from good colleges. क्योंकि वो कहीं ना कहीं grudge था कि I couldn't get into good college. So this co-founder is from BITS Pilani. Okay, this other guy is from NIT and working for Yahoo. Okay, and ZipDial founders from IIT, IIM, and Stanford. Okay, right? Nothing wrong with those guys. Nothing wrong with these things. But my point is, probably my judgment criteria was overshadowed by that particular thing. And Kunal had pointed me this, when I resigned from FreeCharge to join ZipDial, obviously every founder tries to convince you. Okay. But Kunal told me that, maybe you're just carried away by their degrees. And Kunal was a college dropout. Okay. He wears that as a badge now. Okay. But nothing wrong with, he being a college dropout or anything. I was just too fascinated, saying, this is the idea that I always wanted to work with, the missed call thing. Right? So थोड़ा सा emotional connect था, without realizing कि यार मैंने जो idea सोचा था वो 2008 में था. Now this is 2011 almost, right? The whole economy had changed. And second, the fascination of working with people more qualified. And again, so the co-founder at my startup, this was called findyogi.com. He quit. This guy who came from Yahoo, 3 months later, he quit. Okay. I was left with one engineer. That's all. And a site running. I meet this, V2SMS founder who had invested in us.
Were you getting affiliate revenue?
Very little. So I think July revenue was 20,000 rupees. We were lagging behind, we changed our name from My Price India to Find Yogi. So My Price India was the name. The startup started, that weekend project started because I got that domain, because SEO wise, that's a very strong name. I sold some bullshit to myself. Here, price comparison is not the game, product comparison is the game, and we named it Find Yogi. Uske piche bhi kuch random logic tha. So exactly, right? 91 Mobiles was big back then. Price Baba, a very good friend now. He was also starting up. And My Smart Price was a funded startup from Helion and Excel. So Mukul Arora probably contacted me, again on the hindsight I'm guessing, because My Smart Price had just got funded. Right, so every analyst at every VC fund generally gets curious, right? Usko Q funding mila. Let's talk to competitors and figure out the market, right? All his advice were bang on. Small market, you are trying to do too many things, etc., etc. First, quit your job, then start, thinking about startup. But whatever, maybe I did not know how to take that advice. Right? 2012, 13 August, I had some 5 lakh rupees in the bank, and I met my investor again. He said, "I'll give you 10 lakh rupees more. If you can pull it off, fine. Otherwise, we shut down." Okay. And from there, the turnaround happened. From 20,000 to 10 lakh. We went every subsequent month, we doubled our revenue. 20,000 to 60, 60 to 80. Diwali month, we did 2 lakhs, 4 lakhs, 6 lakhs, 8 lakhs, 10 lakhs. And it continued. And, from there on, we've been profitable throughout. Okay. 2016, we exited that business. and to a media company. Okay, they wanted to build a advertising system on top of it and all. We exited it to a media company, made some money. Around that time, ZipDial got acquired, FreeCharge got acquired. So FreeCharge and ZipDial, the announcement was 1 week in difference, 1 week apart, right? And I felt very bad. कि यार FreeCharge में stake नहीं था. FreeCharge got acquired. I don't know the real numbers. The public number is 2,700 crore rupees. Right? ZipDial में I had some stake. So ZipDial में I had actually bargained my salary, swapped it for ESOPs. They were already giving me ESOPs and for more, right? And that bet turned out well. Made some money, not like a huge sum.
Did you make more money through ZipDial or through the sale of Find Yogi?
No, through sale of Find Yogi. ZipDial wasn't like a very large acquisition, and I had less than 1%. I'd worked for less than 2 years there, so obviously. But had I stayed there, probably I would have gotten into Twitter. So वो एक अच्छा game होता है. I got inspired by Twitter and back to Twitter. It could have been a nice thing, but again, maybe I wouldn't have got into Twitter because they were very strict with respect to who they take in. Not every ZipDial employee got absorbed.
Yeah. And they don't have much in India now. मतलब India में कुछ उनका product team तो है ही नहीं तो.
Yeah. So again, 2016, I exited Find Yogi. Around that time, confidence was very, very low.
But why was confidence low? I mean, you made like decent money, from that exit.
बहुत पैसा, वो वाला confidence था. I think that money confidence of exiting Find Yogi was still there. But the fact that in the last 4 years, my career was going down.
Okay, well, you saw FreeCharge, you saw ZipDial, and then comparison mein.
Right, comparison mein, and I used to see housing.com had launched around that time, when I was still doing Find Yogi. And, I was like, yeah, I know every startup on earth, right? मतलब वो था. And the first thing I hear about housing.com is this fancy office. And Rahul Yadav, the founder of Housing, he was on my Facebook because he tried to start a FreeCharge competitor. Okay, and that is how we were connected, and somehow, right? And one fine day I see this startup posting fancy photos of their office, right? I'm like, wow. And then I saw Tiny Owl, and these guys were running out of Hiranandani. And I'm like, मुझे शायद startup के बारे में कुछ नहीं पता है, right? Because people who are just starting out are starting out of offices in Hiranandani. Kunal had invested in 2015. FreeCharge got acquired. After a few months, Kunal had invested in Tiny Owl.
What was Tiny Owl? मुझे याद नहीं आ रहा Tiny Owl.
Pure Place.
Okay. Okay. Restaurant delivery.
Yes. And multiple stuff again were happening in the startup world. This is where all this fancy money had started flowing. 2015 was the peak of e-commerce, right? And one reason that I exited Find Yogi was also because the revenue was dwindling down after that time, because Paytm stopped paying us affiliate revenue, and Snapdeal said no affiliate revenue. Flipkart was trying to restrict the revenue, etc. We realized nothing is in our control. So that is where we started moving out. And Kunal used to call me up sometimes, during all this time, right? And he used to say, "कि यार गलत कर रहे हो, कुछ तो तुम गलत कर रहे हो," right? And I realized, I was carried away with this Bangalore circle and Bangalore thing. Bangalore में ना एक hypothetical imagination है कि India कैसा है, and they have their own version of how user behavior is, right? If you lately seen photos of Indira Nagar, etc., right? And you'll realize there are certain markets that exist in Bangalore. There are certain markets that exist in Indira Nagar that does not exist in Bangalore, and certain markets that exist in Bangalore that does not exist in India. Okay, but these, especially consumer stuff, and they still get funded, right? Because obviously initially they have great numbers to show. So again, Ola, and these again were founders. So Ola, I remember I was with Bhavesh in one of the NASSCOM events in 2011 November. I was a volunteer from ZipDial's end, and Bhavesh was there, and he was like, यार बाहर 2 taxis खड़ी हैं, देखना अभी मैं funding लेके जाऊंगा इस यहाँ से, right? वो 2 taxis हैं, ये app है. He had like a we used to call it, I don't know what we called it. It was a web app, right? On a web browser, right? There was a term for that, whatever, right? And he something, right? And WAP bolte the WAP site said, and he said, yeah, and we were generally talking, and Oyo's founder was there. Sorry, I forgot his name. Ritesh was there. So Ritesh was this, very popular kid in the block, and I had a friend who used to run an Airbnb kind of business, and he introduced me to Ritesh, saying, he's trying to build something, etc. And Ritesh was still 19 back then. Bhavish was, something, and and I was also influenced by that to start up. Right, this was in 2011 and in ZipDial, and then 13 I had heard of other startups, then 14 other startups, and 15 में जब FreeCharge acquisition was, then I thought, I've lost the boat. And Flipkart was now a unicorn, right? Because and I got an offer to join Flipkart, but I never joined that. I'd met the Zomato founders also, right? So सब कुछ हो रहा था, and I was like कि I got left out. Okay. In 2015, when I made my first money from the Zipdial exit, to fight this FOMO of left out, right? I started investing in startups. Okay, so I had this Bombay wala cousin, IIT Bombay cousin. He had just started up, put in a very very small tiny amount of money in his startup, and then I started working on another idea. I thought subscription business is going to be big, and then diaper subscription or milk subscription or stuff like that. So I was discussing with this guy whose company just got acquired by Big Basket. Can we start together, etc.? And he came from, at that moment I was taking very sound decisions, right? I was like, I have to select my partners well, etc. Started discussing this idea with him. He came from a very strong FMCG background, etc. We were not still like, we're not saying we are doing together something, but we're still discussing ideas. Then I said, I'll do this, milk delivery startup. Milk is a foot in the door, and we will deliver more stuff on top of that. And the idea again for me, it was like, recharge was a foot in the door, and we will do retail coupons. In the same way, milk is the foot in the door. Before sleeping, people will use our app, and before they wake up, we'll have a physical delivery at their house. That was the idea. I tried to hire this guy. I had interviewed in Zipdial days for an internship. I tried saying, would you become the operations manager? He said, I've heard of this idea. Let's venture pe abhi live a deal. Ab dekh lo. Right? So there was a startup called Daily Ninja. At I think it was 10 p.m. I looked up Deluxe Venture. At 10:30, I pinged the founder. 11 o'clock at night, I spoke to him. Next day, 10:30, I met the other founder in Bombay, in Bangalore. I committed to invest. Okay, small amount. This investment wasn't out of FOMO. I'm like, this is an idea that will fly. I'm still thinking of this idea. These guys already have 200 customers, right? And Aparmaya had already committed, Taxi for Sure founder. He just got an exit from Ola, right? So usse bhi thoda confidence aa gaya ki I'm not the only one thinking about this. And I committed to invest from, so 2016 mein wo, and so Daily Ninja founders introduced me to a restaurant guy. Again, these guys were supplying breakfast on Daily Ninja. Okay, he said you should meet. I met them, and because of my dad's experience from the restaurant industry in childhood, I was like, restaurant industry to acha hai and whatever, right? And I think every techie in Bangalore wants to start a cafe. और आजकल जो नॉर्थ इंडिया से आते हैं ना, उनको लगता है यार यहाँ खाना अच्छा नहीं मिलता है, मुझे स्टार्ट करना है. एंड क्या होता है ना, देयर आर सम बिजनेसेस वेयर यू कैन सी एवरीथिंग थ्रू एंड थ्रू, राइट? लाइक देयर इज अ किचन, देयर इज समबडी कुकिंग, देयर इज अ बिलिंग काउंटर एंड एक्चुअली, एंड पीपल थिंक दे कैन स्टार्ट अप. And I wasn't one of those who thought I'll start a cafe, but I thought, I'll start, maybe put in some money. I discussed this with my father and my brother. So every investment that we've done it like a family, not like an individual decision. I think Daily Ninja was one startup that everybody believed in the family. Okay. And I still can't fathom the outcome. It got acquired by Big Basket, not a great financial outcome. I multiplied my money by a couple of times, but great. I still think it was a very big idea, very very efficient idea, and businesses will come back to it, right? A daily delivery to your home that carries everything, from your Amazon order to your Flipkart order to your grocery, everything, and it happens in the wee hours so that the guy is not stuck in traffic. So I still think there is a game for that. Maybe Swiggy will capture that. Okay, so Daily Ninja completed.
Big Basket is also doing it, no? Like
so Big Basket, exactly. So Big Basket acquired Daily Ninja, and that is where it started. Right? So the restaurant guy introduced me. I invested in that restaurant. It ultimately shut down because of an accident, right? But nice experience there. This restaurant guy introduced me to another founder who is now almost a unicorn now. I invested in that also. Now this founders introduced me to another startup. So every founder started introducing, and slowly I made about 16 investments. So 2016 to 18, I moved back to Surat. Okay. So we also had our son born around that time. So we knew that somehow Bangalore se thoda disconnect ho raha tha. Also that I'd seen my downfall in career. I wasn't very really good about it. I generally thought that Kunal was right. Okay, about having great user insights and actually understanding a product and user and market. जो बैंगलोर में एक इकोसिस्टम होता है, राइट, एंड एक इको चेम्बर होता है, राइट? बैंगलोर वाज लाइक दैट. Okay, I still remember I was with a very very learned guy, and in 2015 he was telling me that Snapdeal would win the e-commerce game and not Flipkart, because Snapdeal is a asset light business, right? And उस समय सब fancy words थे, everything coming from Valley, and people thought, Valley से कुछ भी आया है तो चलिए. Asset light is the thing. India में कोई भी asset light businesses नहीं. Right, right. And in India, we don't know examples of many asset light. I mean, Swiggy really have restaurants running for them, right? And a research lab producing new kind of foods, right? So asset light तो पता नहीं चला नहीं चला India में. But and there are multiple such incidents where I thought, yeah, there is some disconnect. And also for personal reasons, I just moved right to Surat. And so during my Find Yogi days, one fine day I got contacted by this guy called Mohit Jain. We were connected on Facebook and LinkedIn all this while. Okay, and we'd met in high school days, in Kota. So he was from Kota. In my coaching class, he'd come one day. We played cricket for some time, and he said, I'm wrapping up my startup. Do you have something for me? And I'm like, यार आ जाओ, इक्विटी दे दूंगा, पैसे देने को नहीं है मेरे पास. Okay, but I'll give you whatever you need to survive in Bangalore. He asked for a very, very small amount. Then we finally gave a little higher amount. We started taking over every responsibility in the company, right? And slowly, I think we were then equal partners, right? And when the exit happened, we split the money in that ratio. Saying he worked for 2 years for Find Yogi, I worked for 4 years, and we split the money in that ratio. And that was right, anyways, because no founder doesn't matter. So 2016 onwards, started consulting few startups, right? And 17, I moved to Surat, and at this mind here, if I get some money in through consultancy, I can slowly move to Surat and then figure out kya karna hai. I started working with a lot of startups. So MyGate was one of the startups I was helping, and some offline companies, online companies, etc. Then we started slowly realizing this whole market around freelancers and agencies. So I was helping a lot of founders, shortlist agencies for PR, for hiring, etc. We thought there is a gap. We started building, and then this whole, Refrens.com was born. So this was 2018-19 ke aspas, and we started working on this idea. So idea initially was very simple: list a lot of agencies on this platform, and we'll start generating leads.
What kind of service businesses?
Yes, right. So very broad, anything that is a B2B service. So the way we like to see it is, if you are a business and you are paying an invoice, you are paying only for two reasons: either procurement of raw material or procurement of service.
Okay.
Now we want to do everything in procurement of service. Logo design se lekar ke towards investment banking, call center hiring, recruiters, everything. Okay. There is some common behavior between them. Right? We think it cannot be a vertical platform where it is, say, a platform only for hiring designers, only for programmers. These will become more of a, like a internally, subcontracting kind of stuff, where an agency gets some work and then they subcontract it to a developer. If you do a vertical platform, it will be more like that. If you see what happens on Dribble.
I have not heard of Dribble.
If you're a small shop owner, you've probably never heard of Dribble. Dribble is for designers, right? But Dribble is where all the designers hang out.
It's like a Upwork, like a freelance.
No, it's not like Upwork. No. It's not a freelancing platform. It's where they showcase their work. Okay. So there are, exactly. So Behance is owned by Adobe and Dribble is an independent company, right? So again, because you are from the industry, never heard of Dribble or Dribble, but again, it's a popular thing. So this is where our thought process was, that vertical platforms will not work for end client. It has to be a horizontal platform. When we say vertical platforms, it's almost like saying, urban company for carpenters only, right? You'll probably need it once in 6 years, right? Or for electricians only once in a year. It has to be a horizontal platform to, justify the frequency of usage. And we started building on that. Today, we have about 50,000 users on that platform.
Well, why should a service provider sign up?
Okay, so the initial idea was very simple, that we'll give them a listing platform, and people would sign up, and then traffic would come in through SEO.
Okay, so like free leads.
Yes.
Okay, like a India Mart, but for services. Huh?
Yes. Okay. That idea lasted exactly 3 weeks. Launch kiya, 500 registrations हुए, and in the next 2 weeks we realized that nobody's coming back. We went back to drawing board. We looked at how LinkedIn did it. So LinkedIn had a similar problem. People would sign up and then forget about it for 2-3 years, right? And LinkedIn went this whole content way, saying, we'll congratulate your colleague on promotion and congratulate your colleague on work anniversary, etc. We thought it has to be more tool driven, right? And we started looking for tools that these people need, and we zeroed in on invoice
the vendors, tools that vendors need. Okay.
Yes, the vendors need, right? So invoice generation was a tool that everybody needs, right? Whether you are a small logo designer working out of a college, if you are servicing a business, you must submit an invoice. And these people don't look for an invoicing software. They look for an invoice generator, like a PDF generator.
Like a template that they can just fill out.
Yes, Excel sheet. We'll download Excel sheet template from the net, convert into PDF and send it out. We thought we can make it better on the web, keep records and send reminders, etc. So that was version 1 of the product. And 3-4 months into the product, we raised some funding. Again, this funding were from people we've known over the years. So Vijay invested finally, and a couple of more people. Anupam Mittal of Shadi.com. First Check was the micro VC who was leading it. Vunik.com founders and Park Plus founders and others, right? So a lot of people that I'd known over the years, or one guy connected to another, and that is how it happened. And we started building a small team in Bangalore, and then pandemic hit. So this is 2020 January is when we closed the funding, and pandemic hit, and we went all remote. It's been almost 2 years now.
So that time when you raised funding, how many vendors did you have?
About 500 users on the platform in all. I think people were just betting.
Vendors and buyers.
No, there were no buyers. So what we are only focusing on is the Shopify kind of platform, right? Focusing on giving tools and platform to the sellers, not to the buyers. We're not focused on the buyers right now. I think that's at least 1 or 1.5 years away on the platform, right? So just collecting that mass of vendors right now. I think we are about 2 years into the journey. After the funding, it's been 2 years, otherwise almost 3 years now. And right now we are just closing another round of funding.
Seed or a Series A? What?
This is not a Series A. This is again like a seed round, and popular founders again joining in. And 15 people team right now. Team members are
so from that 500, what is the number today?
Registered base is a little over 1 lakh, and active users, we see about 25 to 30,000 active users anytime on the platform.
And what is the value proposition for them?
So right now it's basically a SaaS suite, saying you need bookkeeping, you need lead management system, and you need CRM system. Okay, some of these tools large businesses and agencies are already using. Small businesses don't realize that these tools could be helpful for them because they don't even know what a LMS means or what a CRM means, right? We are building those tools for them. The ultimate idea is that it will be a Zoho Works, right? The whole Freshworks and Zoho kind of platform, plus the LinkedIn for freelancers. So it will be a networking platform and the whole SaaS suite for freelancers and agencies.
And do you monetize right now?
Yes, we monetize. So we are covering about 50% of our costs through the revenue. So we're working more like a freemium plan where 95% of the users are free, 5% of the users pay.
What do they pay for? Like what is in the paid plan?
So some of the features are locked, right? Say customization of the invoice, read receipt, whether your client opened the invoice or not, and schedule this invoice for future, etc. So a lot of vanity features. We still want the people to use it, whether they pay us or not. And this is again global. So today, about 32% of our audience comes from outside India, and our growth outside of India is faster than India. So ultimately, I think we'll have the idea is to create this whole ecosystem for business service providers, right? So SaaS suite, payments, and networking. And in payments, we are going very strong. We've just started our international payments, so move money from anywhere to anywhere in the world. And in most country combinations, we are the cheapest option.
You can bill your client in any country. Like I am in India, I can bill a US client through Refrens.
Yes, and collect payment through Refrens, whether it's a credit card payment or a bank transfer payment. For the guy paying, it will be like a local bank transfer, but we'll move the money to India and pay it to you through all legal means, etc. And this is for any country combination. So Vietnamese freelancer can receive money from a US-based client. So that we've done. And the idea is to grow this for the next 6 to 8 months very aggressively, and then raise a larger round where we take the product more international. So I think until now, whatever international users we are getting, it's all organic, right? A lot of word of mouth growth, etc. A lot of content marketing going on, but that is where we'll go very, very aggressive on marketing.
And users from India, how are you acquiring them?
Content marketing, mix of SEO, SEM, word of mouth, right? And we have some very, very popular users. As in, we have some big Bollywood celebrities. We have big YouTube stars. I think the biggest YouTube star today in India is our user, right? So we get all those kind of.
So they use you for their invoicing to the brands who like brands who want them to do placement.
Invoicing and lead management system is what they use us for now. The idea is if they can start using us for the networking product. The idea with networking is, every freelancer knows other freelancers in the ecosystem, and these freelancers actually act like a, way of getting leads. So a designer would generate lead for a front-end developer, right? Right, and that is how the whole industry flows. So if they can network and look at each other's work, on LinkedIn, people are not showcasing their work. People are giving all types of gyan, which is nice, but work is not being displayed. And when I say work, I don't mean to say that, okay, I'm a CMO of this company. What I mean to say is, this is the project that I did in the last 1 month. And these are my learnings, these are the tools that I used, etc. And the idea is to become the default identity of these business service providers on the internet. Whether they use it like refrens.com/naman or naman.com should be the same thing, right? So we might end up.
So you allow that white labeling
yes,
also?
in the next 3 weeks. So it's live for me and my co-founder right now, not for others. Right, so in another 3 to 4 weeks, we'll be like
this. Will obviously be a paid feature.
Yes, this will be a paid feature. This will be a paid feature, and then we'll start competing with likes of Wix and Webflow, right? And which we'll think will be the default identity.
What is the current user experience like? So if I'm, let's say, running a service business, what will be my experience when I sign up? What all do I get access to? And help me understand the product.
Okay, so we say bookkeeping system and not an accounting system. Okay, so we think Tally is used by your CA to do the compliance related stuff. But as an entrepreneur, you might be creating those invoices and sending out to your client, or your sales team doing it. So, so invoices, quotations, pro forma invoices, those kind of stuff that a sales team or an entrepreneur uses. Record your leads and manage your sales flow.
What is the look and feel like of it? Like when I sign up?
So it's like a website app. Okay, very similar to when you look at it at once, it will look like any other bookkeeping tool like QuickBooks or Zoho Books, etc. Okay, just that the experience is inverted. So you start by creating your first invoice and not by signing up. Okay, in that invoice, so we think most of the other people who are making such tools, there is a 15 minutes of onboarding time. Right? You sign up, you create your business, you create your invoice. We start with creating your invoice, and then we just ask you to save the invoice. That becomes your user account. The details on your invoice become your business details, right? So we've just inverted that thing, and that is why the friction is very less. And we still think freelancers, when they
plus you're like leveraging that pain point to get user sign up. Instead of forcing a user to sign up first, you're saying here's the solution, and when they do the solution, use the solution, then that gets created into a sign up.
So I think,
but so it looks like a Tally or a FreshBooks or one of those QuickBooks. So
lighter than that. Yeah, as in first look, obviously it's like a compliance software, right? So it cannot look much different from their peers.
How does it take care of the social element, the showing your portfolio element? I would have thought that it would look more like LinkedIn.
Those are the things that we're building out. So as I said, we are focusing on the SaaS platform, the whole tool suite, and the payments bit for now. The networking bit will be launching in another 6 weeks and give ourselves another 6 months to grow this. But the idea is we already know a lot about who you are working for. We just want you to make that public. So we already have about 25,000 public profiles on the system. Okay, where people are publishing who they've worked up for, and those details, right? And we have some insights about, what should be shown on a profile, right? If you look at large agencies, they try to showcase a lot of social signals, right? And they say how many testimonials and who they've worked for, how many years in business, etc. When you talk to a newbie, right, in this industry, they will try to showcase the nuances of their skill set. We think, the clients don't have the understanding, or they don't have the intellect to understand your profession, right? And whether, again, it's an investment banker or a logo designer, right? They want to understand who you work for. So a portfolio is the first thing you ask, right? Who have you worked for? Do I know somebody you worked for? And that is what we want to showcase on the system, and showcase it in a way that can be really comprehended by the potential client. Right? Otherwise, it's just a blue link on Just Dial, right? I mean, you look for CAs in Bangalore and you will get hundreds of pages of Just Dial, right? You don't know one from the another. So I think we are trying to fight that thing, and if your website has to be live and updated, it should actually get you more clients, right? Today, that I think even agencies host their own website, the discoverability is very low, completely dependent on Google, and even when they get discovered, they are mostly outdated, right? किसके पास time ही नहीं है कि कोई बैठ करके update करे. We hired a designer here, he created the website, now we don't know how to update the website, right? So we are fighting all those stuff where we will nudge you when to update the website, right? And we'll take some hard measures saying we'll delist you from the discovery system if you don't update your website, right? Those kind of stuff. Then there is some CRM system being built in where we'll broadcast your work to a lot of other people saying, Akshay is this guy, he does such fantastic work for these companies. Maybe you want to hire them, or maybe you want to just know about them, right? So B2B sales is a lot of about, relation building.
Is it like do you currently have a CRM tool live yet, or it's in the works?
It's in the works. With the whole broadcasting thing and all, that is the thing we are working on. So the profiles as a standalone page is live. One profile is not connected to another. So those are the features that we are now trying to build upon.
But the CRM tool would be something that I can use as a replacement of, say, like a Pipedrive or
the ultimate idea. Yes, the ultimate idea is that, right? Both, pre-sales like a sales CRM, and post-sales like a marketing CRM where you communicate with your existing clients. So again, the idea is to create that whole ecosystem, do payments for them. When we start doing payments, it opens up a whole new opportunity, because again, this audience is somebody who's ignored by the current banking system, right? If you're earning 25,000 rupees as an Infosys employee, you can get a credit card, but as a freelancer, almost impossible, right? So we want to tap into that, get a lot of knowledge about their income, etc., and then build upon tools, further on that. And growing, we're growing. It's just that we think now we've cracked something, so we'll accelerate this.
So what is the pricing like for the paid plan?
So it's $30 in India right now, $90 in US, annual subscription.
$30 कितना हुआ रुपये में?
2,500 rupees. So $30 per annum. So monthly plans are at about 250 rupees, and annual is 2,500. And we keep
and इसमें sub included like white labeling, accounting, payment.
Right. So right now, whatever features are there, everything is included in this, but this will start increasing. So the ultimate idea is that we will, in the next 1.5 years, the average pricing would be $150 per annum, 1,000 rupees a year, 1,000 rupees a month. So $150 per annum, and that would be like our global average. Our global average today is about $50.
And you can have like a login for your team members also as a business?
Yes, that is still live.
Like, is it meant for that size of business also?
Yes.
You can have different roles, like you can have...
Yeah, so that different roles is going live today as we speak. So until now, everyone, so we'd imagined like equal partners logging into the system, but now we are like, different access levels, etc. That will go live today. So we are thinking of this whole journey, right, from a freelancer where you only need an invoice generator to now a multi-people sales team, multi-founders, agency of 50 people. We want to be with you throughout that journey, right? So when you are a freelancer, you will not pay us, but maybe for payments, we'll earn some revenue from you. As you grow, we'll start, we'll have enough tools so that you pay us.
So this becomes essentially the ERP for small business in a way, service businesses.
Yes.
मतलब लीड मैनेजमेंट चाहिए, अकाउंटिंग चाहिए, मार्केटिंग चाहिए, वो सब कुछ like one stop shop में आपको मिल गया.
Yes. And we are again imagining this in a way that the business owner is the guy using the software, right? I mean, he's the accountant, and maybe he's also doing his own taxes at times. So we'll come to that also. And without payments becomes an important thing. He shouldn't go to the bank to do payments, or international payments is a big thing, so he shouldn't be doing that. Signing papers, etc. So trying to solve for that whole
then
ecosystem.
Eventually you would also tie up and offer like loans, credit cards, all of these things which small business owners need. Like you could, through collaborations, start offering the whole suite.
Yes. Right. So we've done some experiments with insurance. Okay. Not a very successful, experiment, I would say, because insurance still requires a lot of phone calling, etc. It's not something that you can sell, so a banner ad.
But insurance इतना वो pull product है भी नहीं ना, मतलब.
Pull product, exactly.
Probably credit card would be a bigger
credit card
pull
is there,
product.
but there are not enough. There are a lot of players there, but not a lot of freelancers would qualify for such credit card. And the ones that qualify already have like better credit cards from the regular banks rather than the new age startups, right? Because they've done jobs at some time and then become a freelancer now, so they still have better credit cards.
So, how big do you think this business will get to? Like, in terms of, do you see it becoming 100 million revenue, like a ARR, by when?
March 26 is the target that we've set internally. 1 million paying users, average giving us about $400. About $150 for the SaaS suite and $250 additional in payments and other stuff. So we think.
Okay, so in payments also you earn some transaction revenue.
Yes, in payments we earn transaction revenue. We earn higher if you collect payments through credit card, and there is revenue to be made in again lending systems after the payment has come in, right? And once we start generating leads for you, then there is more money to be made. And there are other things to see. Once you capture this audience, right, this whole ecosystem of freelancers and agencies, there are multiple stuff that can be done with them. And we think each of these stuff will be like a $50 to $60 million annual revenue. But startups are not about that. Startups, I still say to a lot of founders, avoid raising funds as far as possible. Right. I mean, maybe the amount of money that the business will make will be same. You will just have to share it with more people. And maybe you don't want to take all those partners on board. Right. And I can only say this after so you don't lose control actually. Honestly, जो लोग बोलते हैं ना, most investors don't even pay attention. Okay. I don't know if you followed what happened in India Plaza, right? The day it started going down, the investor directors, they resigned, right? So the founder was on his own. So lose control wala cheez, I think we've not seen it, at least till now. Okay. This was a thing, I've not even seen with other founders where they say, okay, I got kicked out of my startup or something. These were stories that would happen in 2013, 14, 15, not now. Okay. It's just that you lose interest of the investor. If that happens to you, then you are in trouble, because the next round investor is going to ask you if this current guy is participating or not, right? Or if this current guy is taking enough interest to introduce you to new people, right? So again, that's one side, but you have to just realize that once you get VC funded, the journey never ends. You have to keep innovating every year, come out with new stuff every year, and the day you stop doing that on internet, you die. So we've seen what happened with Just Dial, right? They never invested in any startup. They weren't growing as fast. I mean, the market was moving in a certain direction. A lot of talent comes in a startup through acquisitions, right? So they were not doing that. Now it's almost an insignificant thing, right? Whereas you look at Naukri.com or IndiaMart, they've been actively investing from their profits, right? So they'll continue to stay. So even if their core business won't grow as fast, right? Or there's not much innovation to be done in the core business, there will still be a strong organization that will be built, right? And the founder's knowledge will still be used in other places to create that enterprise value. I think, but otherwise, if you think there is only a small thing to be done, just stay private, and it's okay to stay private, and probably you will make more money than most Bangalore startup founders make, right? This doesn't come out in the open, right? But I have a good friend based in Ahmedabad, right? He takes some very serious amount of money, right? 100% owner of the company, very good friends with all these startup founders, right? And he's actually taken this decision, like very consciously, saying, I will not raise funds because there is not much to share with the investor, right? And we don't realize. So I told you my experience with Find Yogi, My Price India, right? Had I done this as a personal project, I would have probably made like 10 to 15 lakh rupees every month, right? And that's a great amount of money at 23, 24. But just because I got into this whole track, yaar fundraise karna hai, new investors se milna hai, right? And it's a very, very time-taking thing, as in the whole 4 years journey of that startup, I would have spent about 1 year of energy in fundraising. Because you are in the market, people will ping you, right? And then you want to meet them, right? And every VC analyst wants to meet you. Or now it's gotten even easier, right? People just do a Zoom call. They don't even need to travel. So you have lesser friction to say no, and they have lesser friction to say no. So, but you don't realize कि कितना energy जा रहा है उस पूरे process में, right? And I think only lately I've started saying no to a few meetings, but otherwise I would still get carried away, because then it comes as a ray of hope, right? यार ये वाला बंदा मेरा story समझेगा और ये funding दे देगा, right? So I think very, very time-taking stuff that you should avoid. And you know it. I mean, in the first meeting, कि यार what is wrong. You are just trying to convince that guy for no reason. Okay, that guy will not understand because in the same day he has 10 more meetings, right? So attention span is very less, right? In the first 5 minutes, whether you can explain it or not explain it. And if you're trying to sell a new industry to them, again, a very big problem, right? So VC money is great if your business has that potential to actually digest that kind of money, right? Otherwise, I think there was this grocery delivery company after raising Series C. They went out in public saying that we are still trying to figure out our business model. I don't know. I mean, it's tragic or it's funny. I don't know, right? And this happens with a lot of people. They're just good at raising money. So, but the end outcome is very, very sad. People go into depression. They really need medical help after that, right? Or they take up some job somewhere that they're not happy about, right? In very rare cases, you're just happy. Okay, I tried, I failed. Let's move on. Right? That's a little rare thing. People leave country, because as a face saver, right? And this all gets accelerated if you are in the limelight, if you're in public, if you raised a lot of money, So I think it should not happen. I mean, just because the whole startup industry, right? It's actually designed for the VCs. If you look at it, we talk about funding news. We rarely talk about profit news, right? So it's designed for the VCs, and rightly so, right? I mean, because they have a show to run, they have a business to run for themselves, right? They are the ones sponsoring the media companies, etc. But otherwise, I think again, it's okay to not raise funds if you can, if your idea is not that big, and you still make that much money as most founders make, right? And maybe have a more peaceful life, right? But if you think the idea is as big, then go all in, and if you fail, you fail. It's a great learning thing, right? I mean, I would have been that guy in that tier 3 college, right, taking up a job at Wipro, right? And I don't know whether I would have felt good, or maybe go back to my dad's business of making sarees. I think this journey just teaches you more than any other kind of work can teach you, with or without the VC money, right? As long as you're in the thick and thin of what you're building, it will all be good.
If you like the Founder Thesis podcast, then do check out our other shows on subjects like marketing, technology, career advice, books, and drama. Visit thepodium.in, that is thepodium.in, for a complete list of all our shows.